On today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the Mattel DC Comics Unlimited Hawkman. Spot picked up Hawkman, I picked up the Flash, and I also picked up Superman. Luckily, they all appeared at my local comic book store, so yeah, I just decided to pick up all three. The Hawkman, I don't know if I would say I would have picked him up as a standalone figure, but again, I saw all three were there, and I just decided to pick him up. It looks to me like a lot of it is retooled from the DC Universe Wave 6 Hawkman, so we'll find that out as we open this package up. On the side, there is Hawkman there. I'm not really following the new 52, so I assume that's the new 52 design of Hawkman. You guys can let me know down below, but on the back, it says, when archaeologist Carter Hall uncovered an ancient dagger made from mysterious nth metal, the bizarre substance became infused with his body, granting him the gifts of superhuman strength, flight, and living armor. After fashioning a set of artificial wings to steady his flight, Hall took to the skies with a collection of medieval weaponry to protect the streets of New York City, fighting the likes of Morphicus, and the Gelman Ghost. Rest assured, the busting metropolis is safe under the watchful eye of Hawkman. Real name Carter Hall, occupation archaeologist, location New York City, powers, abilities, and skills, strength and flight from Thanagarian nth metal. The other figures that were released as well was the Flash and Superman, as Spot indicated. I mean, that's a nice picture of Hawkman. I'm not generally a fan of Hawkman as a whole. I mean, I like Hawkman from DC Comics Unlimited, or DC Universe Wave 6 Hawkman. I like him because he reminds me more of the superpowers figures and whatnot. I don't know if I would say Hawkman, though, has really ever been a figure that I go out of my way to find and pick up. But needless to say, what I am going to do is open this up, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at Hawkman. So there's more on the way. Stay tuned. With Hawkman, you'll get two accessories. For starters, you'll get yourself an axe. Unfortunately, because it's been sitting in package, you can see the blade has gotten extremely warped. That makes me a sad, sad panda. You could put in some hot water and just kind of re-bend it and cool it off. You should be able to fix it. I like the detail on it, and the choice of gold is really, really nice. You can see all the little spiked detail there, the handle. It looks really, really nice. I think they did a good job on it. He does also have another accessory, and by the way, you can take the axe and put it into his hand. Only the one hand is actually open, the other hand, as you see, is closed. The other hand, however, you could take the secondary accessory. It looks like it's some sort of clawed weapon. A little clamp on the back there. You just can clamp it to his wrist. And you've got Hawkman fully decked out, ready for massacring. I don't know. It looks nice. I mean, I like these accessories. Truthfully, I don't follow the comics, so I don't know if he actually uses them in the comics, but, you know, I think it looks good. I think it looks nice. Taking the accessories out of his hand, picking up this figure, I assumed a lot of this figure was being utilized from using the same sculpt, if I just reach off camera here, as the DC Comics Wave 6 Calabac Wave Hawkman. I really thought a lot of the figure was utilizing it. I'm just going to get this Hawkman to stand straight here. I thought a lot of the Hawkman was utilizing this mold. It actually turns out not so much. Obviously, the big thing, if I turn around the figure, the wings are exactly the same. Pegged in the same way, so he's probably using the exact same upper torso. There's that rectangular, if you have a DC Universe figure, you know exactly. There's that little square, kind of, more of a rectangular peg. It's usually filled in. That's usually where they peg the cape into. They've pegged in this whole winged apparatus carries over from the Hawkman. I don't know if they would just have used the torso or just taken the wing part and just, you know, pegged it into that open rectangular piece. But same wings. One thing I really thought, now it does look like he uses the same torso in the fact that the upper torso has the additional man nipples, but the same man torso. Looks like it is the exact same. I thought this section right here was carried over, but you can see that it is slightly different. This one's more elongated. This one sits higher up on his torso. So this is actually a whole new piece, and then they've just put in the shoulder, this nice spiked shoulder pad, which I think looks neat. So really, in essence, if anything, they might have just used the same torso as the DC Universe Classics Hawkman, and obviously the wing back piece as well. In the way of his cape, well, actually, you know what? In the way of his face, let's look at his face first. I don't know if I like the face. I like the headdress and the wings and everything else. It's actually a denser plastic than that of the DC Universe Classics Wave 6 Hawkman. That Hawkman actually had more of a rubbery wing appliance. This actually is a denser plastic, so it could warp on you. I like the sculpt, and I like the color. The one part I don't like is his face. He's got this weird something going on with his face. Kind of looks like, for starters, he's cross-eyed. Just a little bit. He's also got this permanent grimace. From certain angles, it works. Right here, I think it works well. So maybe if you had it on an angle, you had a head turned sideways, it could work. But I think when you turn it, when you have it face on, it looks, it doesn't look as impressive. Let's just say it doesn't look as impressive. Here, looks good. Here, not so much. The gold is definitely a nice touch. Couple that, he's got a much darker green in the legs. I'm going to bring him in again versus the the Hawkman has much more classic duds to him. His wings are a much darker brown as well. I'm wondering if the hands, now this is something too that I want to talk about as opposed, like with the whole reusing. They are bandaged. I wish I actually had him at the time that I'm reviewing this. He's packed away somewhere. One of my favorite DC Universe Classics figures, Wildcat. I'm wondering if he's using the same arms as Wildcat, or if they actually took the time and re-sculpted the bandaged hands. Because they could have easily just taken the torso of Hawkman and put on the arms used for Wildcat, and they could have just made the figure like that. So that's something I really should look into. I'm curious to know if they use the same hands. By the way, his wings are the same setup as the Wave 6 Hawkman. There is two wings. They're independently moving, and they sit on a single peg that runs through all of these rings. So you got two rings on the one wing, and then these two rings are on this wing, and they sit on that single piece that runs right in the middle there, and that peg that runs right through. So you can move the wings independently. I don't know why you would move just one wing, but it means that at least when posing him, you have the option of having the wings all the way back, like so. And I think that looks neat, having the wings all the way back. You can angle them ever so slightly, to which that's probably what I'm going to do if I have him on display. Going to angle him just not completely back, but just enough that on by the front view kind of gives you a nice indication of wings, but it's got this nice angular pose for it. Or you can have them completely flat. That is entirely up to you. Flat, I guess, probably looks nice front view. There's also a peg at the top where these additional pieces swing out. Like so. You can't swing them out too much, because if you swing them out too much, there's this big gap where there is no wing. You really only can have it to about there. You get this really neat effect though. And if you had a flight stand, like one of those DC Universe flight stands, you could kind of have Hawkman hovering or swooping down. Swooping down makes a little more sense to the way his face is sculpted. He's just a little too angry for my liking. But I love the wings. I loved them as when I did when I took the Hawkman out, the original Hawkman. I really like the wings, and I'm glad to see that they didn't really need to change anything to the wings. They just simply reused them, just painted them slightly a different color. Works just as well though. Works just as well. I've already mentioned the fact that I really like the sculpted shoulder pad. I think that works really nice, that shoulder guard, I guess. It kind of carries over further down into his legs too. As a customizer, that would be kind of neat to use this bottom torso piece for a Ra's al Ghul dragon figure. It would be really just a flashback to the Kenner Ra's al Ghul that had that, and he had the dragon helmet. I mean, that totally looks like that figure. Basically, like the waist down, that looks like that Ra's al Ghul figure. Just a little more modern, a little more updated. But yeah, you could totally rock that out. We don't have a Ra's al Ghul figure yet for DC Universe yet. But if we ever do, pretty sure that would make a totally cool custom to use this lower torso. So, I mean, as a whole, I really like the Hawkman as an update to what we originally got. The one thing I really don't like, though, is his face. I just find his face, from the side, doesn't look too bad. But again, from the front, it looks like he's a little cross-eyed, and it looks like he's just really angry over something. In the way of his articulation, Hawkman has a ball-jointed head, and you can actually move it quite a bit. I thought there was going to be some obstruction with the fact that his helmet the way it was, but you can still have it move quite freely. You just can't really move it any further up, which is a kind of a shame. His arms are on a pin and socket, so they rotate out. They rotate all the way around. Of course, up to the point where you get to the wing, then it's going to get in the way. But you can rotate at the bicep, bend at the elbow, rotate at the hand. He has the upper torso bend. He should have a rotation in the waist, but for some reason I can't seem to get the figure to move. Could just be a stiff joint. His legs go forward, back, out. He has a rotation in the thigh. He has a bend in the knee, and I really like how when it bends at the knee, you get this nice pointed piece to the armor. I love that. He's also got a hinged foot. Luckily, too, all the joints on Hawkman are all nice and tight as well, so nothing's loose on him. That's definitely the way that I like it. Just going to put the weapons back in his hand. Like so. Get the clamp, put the claw in there. And arch the wings slightly. Yeah, he's definitely a neat figure. I think his only one strike, I think, is the head. That face sculpt, he's a little too angry for my liking, but I think as a whole, he works well. He's a good update to the original Hawkman, and if you love Hawkman, I mean, I'm not so much a fan, but if you really like Hawkman, I think this is a great figure to pick up. Just not really a fan of the face. Hawkman, I'm going to give him, let's give him a nice pose here. There we go. Hawkman, I'm going to give him a 7.5. Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the new DC Comics Unlimited. We were looking at I guess it's new 52 Hawkman. We're having a look at Hawkman, though. Thanks for watching, guys. Certainly stick around. There are more Toy Spots heading your way. I'll see you guys next time.